The Starling looked beautiful. When Yuna had last seen her ship, it was broken and damaged from the Voltari attack. Now it floated in the docking bay, completely repaired. No, not just repaired. It was better than before. The hull was stronger. The engines were newer. The Voltari had fixed everything. Taiho walked around the ship with his mouth open. He could not believe what he was seeing. "These are Voltari engine upgrades," he said, touching the ship like it was a precious thing. "This technology is 100 years ahead of what we had. Maybe more." Jisoo was already inside, checking the systems. Her excited voice came through the communication system. "The medical bay is fully stocked. And the computers have been upgraded too. Yuna, this ship could fly for years without needing repairs." Yuna stood on the docking bay floor, looking up at the Starling. A small smile was on her face. This was more than just repairs. This was a gift. A sign of good faith. A Voltari officer approached her. He was tall, like all Voltari, but his eyes were softer than the guards she had seen before. "The Queen asked me to give you this," he said. He held out a small device. It looked like a crystal that had been shaped into a star. "What is it?" Yuna asked, taking the device carefully. "A communication crystal. If you hold it and speak, the Queen will hear your words, no matter how far away you are. She wishes to stay in contact with you." Yuna looked at the crystal. It glowed softly in her hand, pulsing with gentle light like a heartbeat. "Tell her thank you," Yuna said, "and tell her I will keep my promise." The officer nodded. "The Queen knows. She said that humans always keep their promises. That is one of the things she finds most strange about your species." Yuna laughed softly. It felt good to laugh after everything that had happened. She climbed aboard the Starling and went to the bridge. Taiho was already in the pilot's seat, his hands moving over the controls with joy. Jisoo was at the engineering station, still checking all the new systems. "Are we ready?" Yuna asked. "More than ready," Taiho said. "This ship wants to fly. I can feel it." Yuna sat in the captain's chair. It still felt strange to sit there. The captain's chair had belonged to Captain Dahan before he died in the attack. But he was gone now, and someone had to lead. "Open a channel to the Voltari station," Yuna said. "I want to say goodbye." The screen in front of them flickered, and then Queen Sereth appeared. She was in her throne room again, sitting on her throne of light. But she looked different somehow. Less distant. More real. "Yuna of Earth," the Queen said. "You are leaving." "Yes, but I will return." "I promised." "I know you will. I have learned that humans value promises highly." The Queen paused. "I have done something today that I have never done before." "What is that?" "I have spoken to the Council of Advisors. I have told them about humanity, about empathy, about the possibility of a different kind of relationship with other species." Yuna leaned forward. How did they react? Many were confused. Some were angry. A few were curious. The Queen's 4 eyes seemed to glow a little brighter. But none of them could argue with my logic. If empathy makes humans stronger in the ways you describe, then perhaps we have been wrong about what strength really means. "That is a big step," Yuna said. "A very big step. It is only the beginning. Change will not come quickly. The Voltari have thought one way for thousands of years. We cannot become like humans overnight. But we can start to ask questions. We can start to learn. That is all anyone can do," Yuna said. "One step at a time." The Queen smiled again. It was still awkward on her alien face, but it was becoming more natural. "Go home, Yuna. Tell your people what happened here. And prepare them. The galaxy is about to change." "I will." "Goodbye, Queen Sereth. Goodbye, friend." The screen went dark. Yuna sat back in her chair. Friend. The Queen had called her friend. A few days ago, Yuna had been a prisoner expecting to die. Now she was leaving as a friend of the most powerful being in the galaxy. Course is set for Earth, Taiho said. Ready to go when you are. Yuna looked out the window at the Voltari station. It was enormous, larger than any human structure she had ever seen. Thousands of ships moved around it. Millions of people lived and worked inside. It was the heart of an empire that had ruled through fear for countless years. But maybe, just maybe, things were about to change. Take us home, Yuna said. The Starling's engines hummed with power. The ship lifted off the docking bay floor and flew toward the exit. Space opened up before them, dark and full of stars. They flew in silence for a while. Yuna watched the stars pass by, thinking about everything that had happened. Yuna, Jisoo said quietly, what did you really say to the Queen? You told us about empathy and humans helping strangers. But there must have been more. You were in there for hours. Yuna thought about how to answer. There had been more. So much more. The Queen had asked hundreds of questions about human history, about love and family and friendship, about art and music and stories, about all the ways humans connect with each other and with the universe. I told her the truth, Yuna finally said. I told her that humans are not perfect. We have wars and hate and cruelty. We hurt each other sometimes. We make terrible mistakes. That does not sound like a good thing to tell her, Taiho said. But I also told her that we always try to do better. When we fall, we get back up. When we hurt someone, we try to heal the wound. When we make mistakes, we learn from them. We never stop trying to be better. Yuna looked at her crew. At Taiho, who had tried to fight even when there was no hope. At Jisoo, who had been so afraid but never gave up. That is what makes us human, Yuna said. Not that we are perfect, but that we keep trying even when we are not. The Queen found that very strange. And very beautiful. Jisoo smiled. I think I understand. What happens now? Taiho asked. When we get home, what do we tell people? Yuna looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. Her home, her people. They had no idea what had happened. They had no idea that their future had just been decided by a few conversations in an alien throne room. We tell them the truth, Yuna said. We tell them that we met the Voltari Empire. We tell them that we were captured and questioned. And we tell them that we won. Won? Jisoo asked. But we did not fight. Yes, we did, Yuna said. We fought with the only weapon we had. Our humanity. And it worked. The stars stretched around them as the ship flew toward home. Behind them, the Voltari station grew smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny point of light among millions of others. But Yuna knew that what had started there would spread. The Queen would ask more questions. She would teach other Voltari what she had learned. Slowly, carefully, the Empire would begin to change. And when Yuna returned with more humans, they would help that change grow. They would show the Voltari and all the conquered species what empathy could build. They would teach them that caring for strangers was not weakness. They would prove that love was stronger than fear, that it would take years, maybe centuries. There would be setbacks and failures. But humans were patient. Humans were stubborn. And humans never gave up on hope. You know what is funny? Jisoo said after a while. What? We left Earth carrying medical supplies to help a small colony. Just a simple cargo run. And now we are carrying something much more important. What is that? Jisoo smiled. Hope. We are carrying hope. Yuna smiled back. She touched the communication crystal that hung around her neck, feeling its gentle pulse against her heart. Somewhere far away, a queen was learning to care about strangers. Somewhere in the vastness of space, An empire was beginning to question everything it knew. And somewhere in the future, humans and Veltari and 1,000 other species would stand together. Not as conquerors and conquered, but as friends, all because one human woman had answered a simple question. Why do humans cry for strangers? Because everyone deserves someone who will cry for them. Because no one should have to suffer alone. Because empathy is what makes life worth living. The stars burned bright outside the window. The ship flew on toward home. And in her heart, Yuna carried the beginning of something new. Something wonderful. Something very, very human. The guards took Yuna to a room that was nothing like the prison cell where she had woken up. This room was warm. It had soft furniture that looked strange but comfortable. There was food on a table, and the food actually smelled good. There was even a window that showed the stars outside. And best of all, Taiho and Jisoo were there. Jisoo ran to Yuna and hugged her tightly. The young engineer was crying again, but this time they were tears of relief. "We thought they killed you," Jisoo said. "We thought we would never see you again." "I am okay," Yuna said, hugging her back. "I am fine." Taiho stood nearby. His face was full of questions. What happened? What did the queen want? Yuna sat down on one of the strange chairs. It was surprisingly comfortable. It seemed to adjust to her body shape automatically. "She wanted to understand us," Yuna said. "Humans. She wanted to know why we are different from other species." "Different how?" Jisoo asked, sitting next to her. Yuna told them everything. The images the queen had shown her. The questions about empathy. The queen's confusion about why humans help strangers and cry for enemies. When she finished, Taiho and Jisoo were both quiet. "That is strange," Taiho said finally. "Does that mean other species do not feel empathy at all?" "It seems that way," Yuna said. "The queen said they only care about their own families or small groups. Strangers mean nothing to them." "That is so sad," Jisoo said softly. "How lonely they must be." Yuna had not thought of it that way. But Jisoo was right. A life without empathy for strangers would be a very lonely life. You would only have your small group. Everyone else would be either a threat or nothing at all. No connections. No community. No sense that you were part of something bigger than yourself. "What do you think will happen now?" Taiho asked. "Will they let us go?" "I do not know," Yuna admitted. "The queen said we would speak again. I think she is still deciding what to do about humanity." They spent the next 2 days in the comfortable room. Guards brought them food 3 times a day. The food was strange, but not bad. They could see other ships through the window, coming and going from the massive Veltari station. They could even see planets in the distance. Yuna spent a lot of time thinking about what to say when she met the queen again. How could she make the Veltari understand something as big as human empathy? How could she show them that caring for strangers was not weakness, but strength? On the 3rd day, guards came to take Yuna back to the queen. This time, she was not taken to the throne room. Instead, she was led to a smaller chamber. It looked like a garden, but all the plants were made of crystal. Light moved through them, making them glow in beautiful colors. Queen Sereth was waiting for her. The queen was not sitting on a throne this time. She was standing among the crystal plants, looking at them with what might have been sadness. "Do you like gardens, Yuna?" the queen asked without turning around. "Yes," Yuna said. "On Earth, my grandmother had a garden. I used to help her take care of it." "We Veltari do not have gardens anymore," the queen said. "Not real ones. We have these. Crystal copies. Beautiful, but not alive." She finally turned to face Yuna. "I have thought much about what you told me. About empathy. About caring for strangers. And what have you decided?" The queen walked closer. Her movements were slower than before. She seemed tired. I am very old, Yuna. I have ruled this empire for almost 1,000 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have conquered worlds without number. And in all that time, I have never questioned the way we do things. She stopped in front of Yuna. Until now. What do you mean? Yuna asked carefully. Your species troubles me, the queen said. Not because you are strong. You are not. We could destroy you easily. But that is exactly what troubles me. She began to walk among the crystal plants again. Yuna followed. Every species we have conquered, we defeated with fear, the queen explained. We showed them that fighting us would mean death. So they surrendered. They became our servants. They do what we tell them because they are afraid of what happens if they refuse. That sounds like slavery, Yuna said. It is efficient, the queen replied. Fear is simple. Everyone understands fear. It keeps order. It maintains peace. But it is not real peace, Yuna said. It is just waiting. Waiting for a chance to escape. Waiting for hope. The queen stopped walking. She looked at Yuna with her 4 eyes. Yes, you understand. That is what I have realized. Our empire is built on fear. But fear is not loyalty. Fear is not love. The moment our power weakens, even a little, everything will fall apart. Is that what you are afraid of? The queen made a sound that might have been a sad laugh. I am the most powerful being in this part of the galaxy. I am not supposed to be afraid of anything. But yes, I am afraid. I have built something that cannot last. Yuna thought about this. She thought about the conquered species she had seen in the hallways. The people with their heads down. The fear in their eyes. There is another way, Yuna said. Your way? Empathy? Yes, the queen shook her head. The Veltari do not feel empathy for strangers. We never have. It is not part of our nature. Maybe not, Yuna said. But you can choose to act with empathy, even if you do not feel it naturally. What do you mean? Yuna stepped closer to the queen. This was the most important thing she would ever say. She had to get it right. Empathy is not just a feeling, she explained. It is also a choice. I choose to care about strangers because I know it is right. Because I know that every person has value. Even people I do not know. Even people I do not understand. Even enemies. How can you choose to care? Either you feel it or you do not. You feel something, Yuna said. I can see it in you right now. You are afraid for your empire. You are worried about the future. You feel responsibility for all the species under your rule. The queen was very still. That is not the same as empathy, she said. But her voice was uncertain. Maybe it is the beginning of empathy, Yuna said. You care about something beyond yourself. You are thinking about others. That is where empathy starts. The queen turned away. She stood in front of a crystal flower that glowed with soft blue light. If I let you go, she said quietly, what will happen? We will go home. We will tell our people what we learned here. And if I do more than let you go? If I send a message of peace? If I say that the Veltari do not wish to be enemies of humanity? Yuna's heart beat faster. Then humans will remember. We will tell everyone that the Veltari showed us kindness. And we will try to be kind in return. Even though we are different. Even though we have conquered so many? Yes, forgiveness is part of empathy too. We do not just feel pain for others. We also feel hope for them. We believe that anyone can change. Anyone can become better. The queen touched the crystal flower gently. You believe that even I can change. Yuna walked up and stood beside the queen. Side by side, they looked at the glowing flower together. I believe that you are already changing, Yuna said. You ask questions that no Veltari has asked before. You listen to answers that challenged everything you knew. That takes courage. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the Queen said, "I will release you and your crew. Your ship will be repaired. You will be given supplies for your journey home." "Thank you," Una said. "Do not thank me yet. I have one more request." "What is it?" The Queen turned to look at Una directly. Her 4 eyes seemed less cold now, more alive. "Come back. Bring more humans. I want to learn more about your species. I want to understand empathy. And perhaps I want to learn how to feel it myself." Una smiled. It was a real smile, the first one since she had been captured. "I will come back," she said. "And I will bring others. Teachers, doctors, artists, people who can show you what humanity truly is. You are not afraid I will capture them? That this is a trap?" "No," Una said. "I am not afraid, because I believe you truly want to change. And humans always take a chance on hope." The Queen looked at her for a long time. Then, slowly, she did something that Una had never seen a Voltari do. She smiled back. It was awkward. The Queen's face was not made for smiling the way human faces were. But the effort was there. The intention was there. And that was enough. "You are a strange species," the Queen said. "But I am beginning to think that the universe needs more strangeness." "Maybe it does," Una agreed. "Maybe that is why we are here." The Queen touched Una's shoulder with one of her 4 hands. It was the gentlest touch Una had ever felt from an alien. "Go home, Una of Earth. Tell your people what happened here. And when you return, we will begin something new. Something that has never existed before." "What is that?" The Queen's smile grew a little wider. "A friendship between empires. Built not on fear, but on understanding." Una nodded. She knew the road ahead would be long and difficult. There would be challenges and setbacks. The Voltari had ruled through fear for thousands of years. That would not change overnight. But today, something had begun. A seed had been planted, and humans were very good at helping things grow. The question hung in the air between them. Why do humans cry for strangers? Una had never thought about it before. It was just something humans did. It was natural, normal. But looking into the Queen's eyes, she realized it was not normal at all. Not to the rest of the galaxy. "I do not understand the question," Una said carefully. "How can someone not cry for strangers?" The Queen pulled back. She walked to one of the screens and touched it. Images appeared. Dozens of images. Hundreds. They showed different species from across the galaxy. Una saw creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some were beautiful. Some were terrifying. All of them were now part of the Voltari Empire. "The Kronari," the Queen said, pointing to a species that looked like large insects. "They are excellent builders. When their planet had a great flood, millions died. The survivors did not try to save anyone outside their own family groups. They watched their neighbors drown and felt nothing." She pointed to another species. These ones looked almost like humans, but with gray skin and no hair. "The Selvani. They are very intelligent. When we conquered them, we expected them to fight together. Instead, each city fought alone. They would not help other cities. They would not share food or weapons. They did not care what happened to strangers." Image after image. Story after story. Every species the Queen showed was the same. They cared about their families. They cared about their small groups. But strangers? People they did not know? Those people might as well not exist. "This is the way of the universe," the Queen said. "Resources are limited. Survival is difficult. Every species learns that you must protect your own group and ignore everyone else. It is logical. It is efficient. It is how evolution works." She turned back to Una. But then we found humans. Another image appeared on the screen. This one showed a human city. A big parade was happening. People were cheering and waving flags. But the flags were not from that country. They were from a different nation on the other side of the world. A sporting event, the Queen said. Your species gathers to celebrate teams from places they have never been. They wear the colors of cities they will never visit. They cry with joy when strangers win, and cry with sadness when strangers lose. The image changed. Now it showed people giving money on a street corner. The money was going into a box. The box had a picture of a child on it. A sick child from another continent. Your people give away resources, the Queen said. Not to family, not to friends. To complete strangers they will never meet. Children they will never see. Why? Yuna looked at the image. She had done this herself many times. She had given money to help people she did not know. She had never thought it was strange. Because they need help, Yuna said. And we can help. So we should help. The Queen made a sound that might have been a laugh. Should? There is no should. There is only survival. Only strength. Only winning. No, Yuna said. Her voice was stronger now. That is not true. Not for humans. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Then explain it to me. Make me understand. Yuna took a deep breath. How could she explain something so basic? It was like trying to explain why water was wet or why the sky was blue. It just was. But she had to try. The fate of her species might depend on it. When I was a little girl, Yuna began, I lived in a small town. One winter, there was a terrible storm. The power went out. The roads were blocked. Many houses were damaged. The Queen listened. Her 4 eyes did not blink. My family was okay, Yuna continued. Our house was not damaged. We had food and warmth. We could have stayed inside and waited for the storm to end. But we did not. What did you do? My mother made soup. A lot of soup. My father got his tools. And we went outside into the storm to help our neighbors. We brought soup to old people who could not leave their homes. My father helped fix broken windows. I helped dig out cars that were stuck in the snow. These people were your neighbors, the Queen said. You knew them. That is different. Some of them, Yuna agreed. But not all of them. There were people in my town I had never spoken to. There were travelers who were stuck because of the storm. Strangers from far away. We helped them too. Why? Yuna thought for a moment. Because they were cold. Because they were scared. Because when I looked at them, I could imagine being in their place. I could feel what they were feeling. Their pain became my pain. Their fear became my fear. And I wanted that pain and fear to stop. The Queen was very still. You felt their pain? Actually felt it? Yes, all humans can do this. We call it empathy. Empathy. The Queen repeated the word slowly. We know this word. But we thought it was limited to family, to close friends. Are you saying humans feel empathy for strangers? For everyone, Yuna said. For other humans. For animals. Sometimes even for plants or machines. If we see something suffer, we suffer too. It hurts us to see pain in others. The Queen walked around Yuna slowly. She was thinking, processing, trying to understand something that went against everything she knew about the universe. This seems like a weakness, the Queen said. If you feel the pain of strangers, you will always be in pain. The universe is full of suffering. How do humans survive with such a burden? Sometimes we do not survive, Yuna admitted. Some humans break under the weight of caring too much. They become sad. They give up. But most of us find another way. What way? Yuna smiled, even though she was still scared. We help. When we see suffering, we do not just feel sad. We act. We try to fix the problem. We give food to the hungry. We build homes for the homeless. We heal the sick. Every time we help someone, the burden becomes lighter. The queen stopped walking. She stood in front of Yuna again. "This is very strange," she said. "You are telling me that humans are weak because they feel pain for everyone, but also that this weakness makes them help everyone. And by helping everyone, they become strong?" "Yes," Yuna said. "I think so. Then why do you have wars? If you feel the pain of your enemies, why do you kill them?" This was a harder question. Yuna had thought about this many times. She had seen war. She had treated soldiers who had killed and soldiers who had been broken by killing. "Because we are not perfect," she said. "Sometimes fear is stronger than empathy. Sometimes anger takes over. Sometimes bad leaders convince people that others are not really human, not really worthy of empathy. But even then, even in our worst moments, the empathy does not disappear completely. It is why soldiers get nightmares. It is why we have rules about treating prisoners well. It is why we cry when wars end, even when we win." The queen was quiet for a long time. The screens around them showed more images of humans. Humans crying. Humans helping. Humans loving and fighting and grieving and hoping. "We have conquered 1,000 species," the queen finally said. "Each one we defeated with strength. We showed them that we were more powerful, and they submitted. But you..." She looked at Yuna with something new in her eyes. Was it respect? Fear? Yuna could not tell. "If we attack your species, you will fight. Not just for your families, not just for your countries, but for every human everywhere. You will feel the pain of every death. And that pain will make you fight harder, not weaker." "Yes," Yuna said. "It will. And even if we win, even if we conquer you, your empathy will spread. You will cry for our slaves. You will help our conquered peoples. You will make them feel valued and loved. And then they will start to wonder why they serve us instead of joining you." Yuna had not thought of it that way before. But the queen was right. Humans could not stop caring. It was in their nature. Even as slaves, they would care about other slaves. They would share food. They would comfort the sad. They would tell stories of hope. They would be a disease of kindness, spreading through the empire. The queen turned away. She walked to her throne of light and sat down. For a long moment, she just stared at Yuna with her 4 glowing eyes. "You have given me much to think about, human," she said. "Guards, take her to comfortable quarters. She and her crew are not to be harmed." Guards appeared and gently took Yuna's arms. As they led her away, the queen spoke one more time. "We will speak again, Yuna of Earth. I have more questions." Yuna looked back at the queen. "And I have answers," she said. "As many as you need." The doors closed behind her. And somewhere in Yuna's heart, a small hope began to grow. Maybe, just maybe, humanity's greatest weapon was not a weapon at all. Maybe it was love. The throne room was so quiet that Yuna could hear her own heartbeat. It sounded very loud in her ears. She was still on her knees, looking up at the queen. The cold floor hurt her legs, but she did not move. She did not want to show any weakness. Queen Sereth sat on her throne of light. Her 4 eyes moved slowly from one human to another. She looked at Taiho first. The pilot was trying to be brave, but Yuna could see his hands shaking. Then the queen looked at Jisoo. The young engineer had stopped crying, but her face was still wet with tears. Finally, the queen's eyes came back to Yuna. "You are the leader," the queen said. It was not a question. "I am the mimetic," Yuna replied. "I heal people." "But you are the leader," the queen said again. I can see it in your eyes. The others look to you. They trust you." Yuna did not know what to say. It was true. On the Starling, the captain had died in the first attack. Yuna had taken charge. She had told the others what to do. She had tried to save them. She had failed. The queen raised one of her 4 hands. The guards behind Taiho and Jisoo moved forward. They grabbed the 2 humans and started to pull them away. "Wait," Yuna said. She tried to stand, but a guard pushed her back down. "Where are you taking them?" "They will be kept safe," the queen said. "For now. I wish to speak with you alone." "No," Taiho said. He was fighting against the guards, but they were too strong. "Yuna, we are not leaving you." "It is okay," Yuna said, even though it was not okay. "I will be fine. Take care of Jisoo." The guards dragged Taiho and Jisoo out of the throne room. Jisoo called Yuna's name once, and then the golden doors closed. The sound was very final. Very lonely. Now Yuna was truly alone. The thousands of Voltari in the throne room watched her. Their 4 eyes were cold and curious. To them, she was something strange. Something new. Something to study. The queen stood up from her throne. She was even taller than Yuna had thought. Her robes of liquid silver moved around her like living things. She walked down the steps of the throne slowly. Each step made no sound. She stopped right in front of Yuna. This close, Yuna could see details she had not seen before. The queen's skin had small patterns on it, like very thin lines of light. Her eyes were not just white. They had small points of color in them, like distant stars. "Stand up," the queen said. Yuna stood. Her legs hurt from kneeling, but she did not show it. She looked up at the queen. The difference in height was very large. Yuna was not a short woman, but next to the queen, she felt like a child. "Do you know why you are here?" the queen asked. "No," Yuna said honestly. "We were just a cargo ship. We were carrying medical supplies. We are not important." "You are wrong," the queen said. "You are very important. You are human." Yuna did not understand. "My people are new to space. We have very few ships. We have no great weapons. Why would we be important to an empire like yours?" The queen smiled again. This time, the smile was different. It was not cruel. It was curious. "Come," the queen said. "Walk with me." She turned and started walking toward a door on the side of the throne room. Yuna did not want to follow, but she knew she had no choice. She walked behind the queen. The thousands of Veltari watched her go. None of them spoke. None of them moved. The side door led to a smaller room. It was still very large by human standards, but it felt more private than the throne room. The walls were covered with screens that showed images of stars and planets. There were tables with strange objects on them. It looked like some kind of study or office. The queen walked to one of the screens. She touched it with 2 of her hands. The image changed to show a planet. A blue and green planet with white clouds. Earth. "Your home world," the queen said. "It is beautiful. So much water. So much life." "Yes," Yuna said. Her voice was tight. "It is our home. We have been watching your species for some time," the queen said. "Since you first left your world and started to explore the stars. We watch all new species. We need to know if they are a threat." Yuna's heart beat faster. "Are we a threat?" The queen did not answer right away. She touched the screen again. The image changed to show human ships, human cities, human people going about their daily lives. "Your technology is young," the queen said. "Your weapons are simple. Your ships are slow. In a war, we would destroy you in days. Perhaps hours." Yuna felt cold. She knew it was true. Humans were not ready to fight an empire like the Voltari. They would lose. They would die. But, the Queen continued, we have conquered many species. Thousands of them. Some were strong. Some were weak. All of them are now part of our empire. They serve us. They obey us. They fear us. She turned to look at Yuna directly. In all that time, we have never seen a species like yours. Yuna frowned. What do you mean? The Queen walked to a table and picked up a small device. She pressed something on it, and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed a scene that Yuna recognized. It was a news report from Earth, from about 5 years ago. The report was about a terrible earthquake. A city had been destroyed. Thousands of people had died. And thousands more had come to help. People from other countries. People who did not speak the same language. People who had never met the victims. They came anyway. They dug through the broken buildings with their bare hands. They carried water and food. They held crying strangers and told them everything would be okay. Explain this, the Queen said. Yuna looked at the hologram. It was a disaster. People came to help. Why? Because people needed help. But those people were strangers, the Queen said. They were from different nations, different groups. They had no connection to the victims. Why would they risk their own safety to help? Yuna opened her mouth, then closed it. She did not know how to explain something so basic. So human. It is what we do, she finally said. When someone is hurting, we try to help. It does not matter if we know them or not. The Queen stared at her for a long moment. Then she changed the hologram. Now it showed a different scene. It was a war. 2 human nations fighting. There was fire and death everywhere. But in the middle of the battle, Yuna saw something else. She saw soldiers stopping to help wounded enemies. She saw medics treating people from both sides. She saw a soldier carrying a child from a burning building, even though that child was from the enemy nation. This confuses us the most, the Queen said. You fight wars. You kill each other. And yet, even in the middle of killing, you stop to save your enemies. You treat their wounds. You feed their hunger. You cry when they die. She turned off the hologram and looked at Yuna with all 4 of her eyes. In 10,000 years, we have never seen this. Every species we have met, they fight to destroy. When they win, they take everything. When they lose, they die. There is no helping. There is no crying for enemies. The Queen stepped closer to Yuna. Her voice became very soft. You are different. And we need to understand why. Because a species that can love its enemies, that species might be the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Yuna stood very still. She had expected questions about weapons, about military bases, about how to invade Earth. She had not expected this. So, the Queen said, I have one question for you, human. One question that will decide everything. She leaned down until her face was close to Yuna's. Why do humans cry for strangers? Yuna stared into those 4 alien eyes. The question echoed in her mind. It seemed so simple, so obvious, but she could see that to the Queen. It was the biggest mystery in the universe. And somehow, Yuna knew that her answer would change everything. Yuna opened her eyes slowly. Her head hurt very badly. The last thing she remembered was the alarm on the ship. Red lights, screaming, then nothing. She tried to move her hands, but she could not. Cold metal chains held her wrists together. The floor under her was smooth and cold like glass. She looked around and saw that she was in some kind of room. The walls were not like any walls she had ever seen. They looked like they were made of crystal. Light moved inside them like water. Yuna, a voice said next to her. Yuna, are you awake? She turned her head and saw Taiho. He was also in chains. His face had blood on it, and his uniform was torn. But he was alive. That was good. "I am awake," Yuna said. Her voice was dry and weak. "Where are we?" "I do not know," Taiho said. "They took us. The Voltari." Yuna felt her heart go cold. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Voltari. They were an empire that had existed for thousands of years. They had conquered more than 1,000 different species. Entire planets had become empty because of them. And now they had taken Yuna and her crew. "Jisoo?" Yuna asked. "Where's Jisoo?" "Here," came another voice. Yuna looked to her other side and saw Jisoo. The young engineer was sitting against the crystal wall. Her hands were also in chains. Her eyes were wide with fear, but she was trying to be brave. "I am here, Yuna." Yuna was a combat medic. She had trained for many years. She had seen battle. She had seen death. But nothing had prepared her for this. The Voltari had never captured humans before. Humans were new to space. They had only been traveling between stars for about 200 years. The Voltari Empire was old. It was powerful. And it did not know what humans were. Maybe that was why they were still alive. What happened to the ship? Yuna asked Taiho. He was the pilot. He would know. Taiho shook his head slowly. They came out of nowhere. One moment we were flying through empty space. The next moment, there was a Voltari warship right next to us. They did not even give us time to run. They used some kind of light beam. It went through our shields like they were nothing. Then everything went dark. The Starling. That was the name of their ship. It was a small freighter. Nothing special. They were just carrying medical supplies to a colony on the edge of human space. They were not soldiers. They were not important. But the Voltari had taken them anyway. Why? Jisoo asked. Her voice was shaking. Why did they take us? What do they want? Yuna did not have an answer. She wished she did. A sound came from the far end of the room. A door was opening. But it did not open like a normal door. The crystal wall simply became soft and moved aside like water. Two figures walked through. Yuna had never seen a Voltari in real life before. She had only seen pictures. The pictures did not show how tall they were. These two were almost 3 meters tall. Their skin was pale blue, like ice. They had 4 arms and 4 eyes. Their faces had no expression that Yuna could read. They wore armor that looked like it was made from the same crystal as the walls. One of them spoke. The words were strange and sharp, like breaking glass. But then a small device on its chest made the words into human language. "Stand up," the device said. "You will come with us." Taiho tried to stand, but his legs were weak. One of the Voltari grabbed him with 2 of its arms and pulled him up like he weighed nothing. Jisoo stood on her own, her body shaking. Yuna also stood. She made herself stand straight. She would not show fear. She was a human. She would face whatever came next, with her head held high. The Voltari guards led them out of the room and into a long hallway. The hallway was made of the same crystal. Light moved through the walls in waves of blue and purple. It was beautiful. It was also terrifying. This place was so different from anything human. It made Yuna feel very small. As they walked, Yuna saw other beings in the hallway. Some were Voltari, but many were not. She saw creatures with scales, creatures with fur, creatures with too many legs or no legs at all. They all wore simple gray clothes. They all kept their heads down. They all looked afraid. These were the conquered, Yuna realized. These were the species that the Voltari had defeated. They were slaves now, workers, property. Would that be the fate of humans too? They walked for a long time. The hallway turned and twisted. They went upstairs and through more doors. Finally, they came to a very large door. It was different from the others. It was made of gold and covered with strange symbols. "The throne room," one of the Voltari guards said. "You will meet the queen." Yuna's blood turned to ice. The queen. She had heard stories about the Voltari queen. She was very old. Some said she was 1,000 years old. She had ruled the empire for longer than humans had been in space. She was the one who decided which species lived and which species died. The golden doors opened slowly. The room on the other side was larger than anything Yuna had ever seen. The ceiling was so high that she could not see it. Great pillars of crystal held it up. Thousands of Voltari stood on both sides of a long path. They were all looking at the three humans dot, and at the end of the path, on a throne made of light itself, sat Queen Sereth. She was larger than the other Voltari. Her skin was darker blue, almost purple. Her 4 eyes glowed with a soft white light. She wore robes made of something that looked like liquid silver. On her head was a crown of floating crystals that moved around her like planets around a star. She looked at the humans, and Yuna felt like those 4 eyes could see everything. Every thought, every fear, every secret. The guards pushed the humans forward. They walked down the long path between the rows of Voltari. Every step felt heavy. Every breath felt difficult. Yuna kept her eyes on the queen. She would not look away. She would not show weakness. They stopped at the bottom of the throne. The guards forced them to their knees. For a long moment, there was only silence. The queen studied them. Her face showed nothing. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft but powerful. It filled the entire room. "Humans," she said, "you are the first of your kind to stand before me. Do you understand what that means?" Yuna said nothing. Taiho said nothing. Jisoo was crying quietly. The queen smiled. It was not a nice smile. "It means," she said, "that your answers will decide the fate of your entire species." Yuna's heart was beating so fast. But she lifted her chin and looked directly at the queen. Whatever questions came next, she would face them. For herself. For her crew. For all of humanity. She just had to hope she had the right answers.